to introduce our speaker today. I hope everybody enjoyed their lunch. I want to welcome Jerry Bridge as he discusses mastering tools and practices for organizing ideas and cultivating new habits. In this session, titles Going Beyond Time Management, Redefining Productivity, and please give a warm welcome to Jerry.
Oh, okay.
And as he
Thank
said,
you.
everything's on your website.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay. All right. So in my world, you've had a long day already. So how many, just to check in with you, how many of you are a little tired? Yeah. So let's start by practicing what we learned from this morning. So everybody uncross your arms and legs. Just get comfortable in your chair. Allow your eyes to close for a minute. I'll do it with you. And just feel the weight of your body in the chair you're sitting on. Feel your feet on the floor. Maybe feel the blood in your tummy, digesting your lunch. Take a couple of deep breaths. And with each inhale and exhale, just release any stress, any feeling of tiredness that you may be feeling. Taking long, slow, deep breaths just to connect with the body that you're in, letting go of any worries, any stress, any thoughts about stuff you got to get to, and just allow yourself to be ever more relaxed and just present here and now. Relaxed and present. You know, we're always doing, and this is an opportunity for us to just be. And be present to your body, your breath. A couple of deep breaths. Really nice deep breaths, you guys. Inhale and a nice long exhale. That's it. Again, please. And exhale. And just getting the idea of feeling vital and alive and present and energized. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome to your afternoon session. Hi, everybody. Hi. It's always the first thing is being present, being related, right? And just a quick show of hands, how many of you, from before we did that exercise to now, experience a little bit more relaxation, maybe some energy? Yeah, so there's your experience, there's your evidence right there. Good practice to do, especially when you're having people. So this is inside of the context of going beyond time management, productivity, 21st century productivity, which includes those practices that kind of restore your energy naturally, right? So great. So now where did this topic come from? So I mentioned earlier that for those of you that are just watching this video now, that we did a session where we looked at, essentially we're living in a world that is unlike no other time in human history, where the speed and the volume and the complexity of information coming at you 24/7 and 365 is more than any human being can possibly handle. And we are valiantly trying. And you are already doing an amazing job in the face of that, given that it's it's an impossible thing to accomplish, really, is to get it all done. Remember we said that, and I'll say it again, especially for the people that are seeing this the first time, is that you and I have a habit. We think we're supposed to get to everything, and that there's something wrong with us if we don't. And that world no longer exists. There was a time in human history where people worked, they slept, they ate by the rhythms and the seasons of the sun. If you had a good crop, you would eat. If you didn't, you might starve. And that's what the concerns was the weather. People had time, people had more time. But we're in a different world that's technologically driven. And so this conversation about going beyond time management is it's organized to empower you so that you're you're not overwhelmed by everything there is for you to do and handle. That's a real possibility in life. Like, it's possible to be complete with everything that there is for you to do, even with the things that are yet undone. So a lot of what underlies this conversation today is this experience of being complete with even the things that I've yet to do. So like, how many of you have multiple to-do lists? Yeah, that's a lot of us, right? And I used to. But the problem with multiple to-do lists was I didn't really have much peace of mind because there were things buried in lists. Then I had other things that maybe were attached to an email that really belonged to another project, but that project and that email didn't connect necessarily. And then there was another person that was involved, and then maybe there was a web link or a PDF with resources in it. So my experience of working was there were too many things in too many places, which left me feeling certainly without peace of mind and mostly overwhelmed. And it was all I could do to try to just work longer and harder to try to manage it all, and then that didn't work. So it was around 2007. I'm in the training development business, so someone told me about this mission control productivity course, and I said, hey, if it works, I'm down for it. So I did the course. The course was, I think, a day and a half or 2 days, and the course leader talked about, it's possible to not have more than 20 or 30 emails in your inbox. I'm like, what have you been smoking, dude? And I'm happy to report, as you'll see, I'll share with you my outlook that I get a ton of email like you guys. I have a lot of projects. I'm able to manage my email effectively. For how many of you, that alone would be a breakthrough, right? Yeah, no kidding, right? Manage my email effectively, managing your calendar so that your calendar is a vibrant visual display of what your life looks like, of what's most important in color. So your brain likes that. You'll see as I show you my Outlook calendar how you can get sort of a dashboard from the technology you already have that will feed you what you need. And it's going to require some practice and some discipline. Because remember, we talked about earlier that as human beings, we're predisposed in a certain way. That we have habits, right? Remember habits? And they're thoughtless. Like, however you learned how to work, you learned it probably from when you were little. Like when I was little, I used to turn in my work at the last minute. Anybody can relate to that? I kind of still do. And that's a lifelong habit. Like, it's waiting till the very last minute. The problem with that is the stress, right, that goes along with that. And so, one example of a breakthrough that I had as a result of doing the mission control. Now, we only have an hour and a half today, so I'm going to give you as much as I can to get you started. I promise I will get you started with it. Some of you are already doing some of what works, but then there's a lot of the deadwood that we need to clear out. So I just remember it was right around this time where I was planning my parents' 60th wedding anniversary, and that was a really big deal. And I wanted to do something really nice for them, and I knew it would take because we were from Maryland and we're living in California now, and I knew that it would take a lot of doing and planning to do that. And at that point, I was doing probably 50 keynotes a year around the country. So for every one of those projects, there's a lot of to-dos, right? And but I was able to do it really effectively because I created a task folder called Mom and Dad's 60th. And then I put every Saturday for an hour or two, I had it in my schedule. That's when I'm working on this. So I would get RSVPs from people around the country, and I would just move that email right into that project folder as a practice. So that everything that had to do with that particular project called Mom and Dad's 60th wedding anniversary was consolidated in one place and one place only. Like including the hotel, the menu, the band, you can imagine like that there's a lot of moving parts. And I'm telling you this because I'm kind of giving you the what's possible out of it, because you're all managing projects at work and also in your life. I mean, you got your car, you got your house. You know, every time you go into the house through the garage and the garage needs cleaning, and you have the thought, oh my God, I really need to clean the garage. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Or the last thing you see at night before you go to bed is you got a ceiling fan that's dusty, and you think, oh God, I really need to get to that. So it's all of those things that are on our minds. They live as incomplete. And anything that's incomplete is fodder for stress. So I have learned how to, and it's not perfect, but I've learned how to live, for the most part, moment to moment, complete to complete. It could be anything from, I check my email and I see that, I get a note from this place where I work. I'll show you, she needs me to come in and do X, Y, Z, or the other thing. And then I can move that into an email folder called Not Doing Now Email. And it goes out of my inbox. So my inbox so I've touched that. It's complete for now, because I have a regular practice on Saturdays of looking at what's in my Not Doing Now email. As an example, okay? Okay. Sorry for the long opening, but I want to kind of paint a picture that you're in the right place. And I absolutely am committed to your commitment to having a breakthrough, that you experience more power, freedom, and peace of mind. That's the whole reason we're having this conversation, is for you to have the experience of power, freedom, and peace of mind. And for the most part, people don't experience having any power with regard to their schedule. It's just like, Katie, bar the door. I've got to try and, just keep up. So that's what we're doing. All right. How about you? What is it about this session that had you select this one over, I don't know how many other ones there are, just to kind of get the ball rolling? When you saw, going beyond time management, was like, yeah, I need that. So anybody have anything they kind of just, like, it was like, wow.
Words, time management. Yeah.
What's that?
Just seeing the word time management.
Oh, yeah. Right. Right. Okay, good. Okay. Anything different for you?
The other one sounded really boring.
Well, so there's that. Sorry. I think I'm stuck. Let's see. Is this? It's weird because it's moving on the screen. It's moving on my computer, but it's not moving on the. Let's see. Hang on, you guys. So what? This is the part that gets edited, right? Hang on, you guys. While I'm trying to figure this out, I'll try it this way. Anybody have anything other than different than this maybe not be boring? So if it's there, see, it's moving there, but it's not moving. Isn't that weird, huh? So if I do this, and then I do, okay. One of my favorite authors, Helen Keller. How many of you are familiar with Helen? So at 18 months, she contracted a virus that left her deaf and blind. But it were not for the miracle of Anne Sullivan, this is like 1900, that got her to get, because she, have any of you read the story of my life? Oh, it's amazing. So Helen had no access to language, so she had no access to the world. That was what life was like for her. And then Anne Sullivan got her to connect this water. She got chair, she got you, she got the world open up. Turns out she went to Radcliffe Women's College. She graduated with honors. She's deaf and blind. All the courses were spelled into her hand. I'm talking Latin, French, German. Brilliant, right? And so I love how she writes. And so this is the setup for this conversation. She said, the thing I missed most was the lack of time. Before she went to college, like maybe you can relate to this, before the world changed, I used to have time to think, to reflect, my mind and I. So she has a distinction between the voice in her head and I, like a self, that has dominion over that voice. We would sit together of an evening and listen to the inner melodies of the spirit. We should take our education as we would take a walk in the country, leisurely, our minds hospitably open to impressions of every sort. Isn't that lovely? And it seems like it's a world long gone, and it's like, okay, Jerry, that's great. That was 100 years ago. And there's a certain sweetness to that, and there's such a humanity to that. From a woman who knew the power of language and her ability to affect the world. And so if you can be here in this conversation, taking your education like a leisurely stroll through the redwoods, that would be awesome. So when most people think of productivity, they think of time management. It's useful, but it's limited. We have more productivity tools than we could have imagined. And since 1960, the average American is working 160 more hours a year. So given who you are and your habits, we'll give you the next tool and you'll just work longer and harder with it. Right? I remember I had a hot dog stand years ago, be on the beach, sell hot dogs, then I had to have the ice cream, then I had to have this, that. I turned it into an overwhelming situation, right? And where does time management come from? I mean, 100 years ago, there was no such thing as time management. I mean, the farmer did not need a Post-it note on the hoe to know whether it was corn or, right? So time management got invented like in the 1950s from the accounting world so that people could account for the time and bill it. Then it moved into the legal world, and then you were born into, I was born into in 1957, I was born into a world called time management. Never even gave it a thought till I started doing this work. I just thought, well, you just you go get more, paper binders and Post-it notes and whiteboards and all that stuff, right? And, time management gets you pretty far. I mean, you wouldn't be in this room if you aren't already effective. So we're talking about executive planners, date timers, organizational tools, like I said, Post-it notes, whiteboards, paper calendars. Then there's all the technology tools that are ever increasing, and even including electronic Post-it notes, God forbid. And then if that doesn't work, cocktails. Which some of you are counting down. No, I always love that first beer, don't you? It's just like, right? It's nothing better. So, the jury's in, you're doing great already, but what time management never accounted for was the experience of accomplishment. It never accounted for your sense of freedom or peace of mind. Time management only was a context of getting more done. That's it. You are the throwaway. So we don't want to throw you away, right? And so we need new thinking and practices that empower your productivity and performance. So this is like outside the box, kind of try it on, see if you can think what I'm saying. Some of it is abstract and some of it is just really kind of down, easy, makes sense. Okay, we already. This was the book I had mentioned earlier. Sorry if some of this is redundant, but we're going to get to the goods in a second. I think the question that you would keep in front of you, because in my world, when you're in school, it's all about knowing the right answer, right? Ooh, I got the answer. But just getting an answer doesn't cause a breakthrough necessarily. So I think in the world that we're living in today, what's even more powerful is asking yourself the question, whatever the question is, that gets you inside the new space of possibility. The questions are always more powerful than the answer. It's, can you tolerate living with the question called, what is it going to take for me to slow down? Can you live with that question? And I promise you, if you can dwell on the question, you will see the answers coming. If you only get the answer like, I got the answer, you're going to be back in the soup again, right? So just have like Helen, the capacity to dwell inside this possibility. For how long? I think probably for your lifetime. Because with AI and everything else that's coming down the pipe, it's always going to keep pulling you to go faster and faster. And so I have to do everything I can in my world to schedule time to slow down. That's why we do the 1-minute meditation, because it's, okay, I'm a human being, after all, right? And, I went for a swim during when you guys had your other session, so I'm rejuvenated. By the way, the pool's amazing. It's like 83, 84 degrees. There's a women's sauna and a men's sauna, and there's also a spa. So I highly recommend it. That could be part of your bash. An unscheduled, woo! Okay. So working longer is unsustainable. It's making you sick. All right, so let's see what I got here. So specifically, I want you to see, I want you to imagine yourself at work. I mean, if you have to close your eyes just to do this, it's okay. You're at your desk, you're working, what's happening? So what's happening where you're kind of maybe getting agita, you're like, oh, the phone, are you getting interrupted? Are you concerned about a project, or just what's happening in your world? Start to tell me about that so we can deal with what's happening.
Constant notifications.
Constant notifications coming from
Teams and email, and it's just, so constant distraction.
Yes, right. Good. How many of you have constant distractions? So it's interesting, right? Okay, so part of what you're gonna want to do, and you're an addict. What am I going to tell you?
Turn it off.
Yeah. And you're going to want to, and people say, well, why? You used to always be available for everything. Well, it's not working. Well, it works for me. Well, first of all, I'm not really sure if it is. And second of all, I'm developing new habits and practices around work. Well, what are you doing that for? What would you tell them if somebody says, why are you turning off why are you not available all the time? This is for anybody. What would be the advantage to you of having focus time?
Makes me more effective.
Makes you more effective. Mm-hmm. I think so.
Focus more on what's at hand.
Yeah, I think so. I think part of being effective is being able to focus. I mean, I'm not even sure if there's a question about that, is there? I'm pretty sure that's like gravity. Yeah. So that's one thing you could say. What's another? Because when you go back and you start changing your work habits, people are going to be like, I used to send you an email, you replied right away. And you're like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. Well, why not? I liked it that way, right? And then they call you. Did you get my email? Yeah, stop calling me. And we're doing that to people too. It's not because we're bad people. It's just we didn't know what the hell to do when this email thing came. Nobody gave us the instruction book. If you download that handout that I showed you earlier, that well-being playbook, I wrote this whole funny letter about, letter from the government or a letter from whoever it was about you're going to get this email thing. Now nobody's going to tell you how to use it. And at some point it's going to dominate your life. Good luck. Right? So you're at work, you're at your desk. Anything else beside the distractions, the notifications? Yeah.
9,000 meetings that I have to attend, which prevents me from having work time.
Yes. So too many meetings. Okay? Right. So some of this is going to involve conversations. How many of you have people that report to you? Okay. And then you also report up. So you're, right. Okay. So there's no question that whatever you're learning today, whatever those key chunk things are, like notifications, you're going to need to have a powwow back at work because you're not going to be able to do this only on your own. It's just going to, because it's what you're going to do is going to impact other people's way of dealing with you. And if they have a question about it and you can't answer it, they can come to me. I will straighten them out. So, but seriously, right, like that. Anything else about email or meetings or personal time or anything as you're at work?
Yeah, people walking in your office.
People walking in the office. Now, okay, now I like the idea of an open door policy. And you want to be available to people. So, and let's think about that. So you could say, is it a 411 or a 911? So that's something right there. So one of the things that I would do after this whole conversation, I mean, we're just getting into it, so there'll be some stuff for you to go over, to talk about and train on, is let your teams know that you're committed to reducing the interruptions and distractions. Why? So we can focus, so we can have better outcomes. And so you can even say personally, because, I mean, if you're like me, it's stressful. And I love my life, I love my family, I love my work, but I don't want to be sick from it. And you straight up and they'll get it, right? Okay. All right, so that's a good entree into the conversation. Okay, so now, here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the number of ways, all the ways in which you account for everything that there is for you to do or handle in life. So when I do the workshop, this is one of 3 slides. I'm only going to show you this slide. So as you go through here, just count to yourself how many of these you might use just to manage what there is for you to do and handle. You got email, stuff in your piles on your desk, files, paper organizers, stuff that's on recorders, post-it notes certainly, activity logs, software, tape recorders, all that stuff. So how many of you are using more than 3 of these to manage your life? Okay. And would it be safe to, it might be easier to count the ones you don't use, right? Yeah. So this is always the thing. This really truly is the productivity makeover because, I mean, as good a job as you're doing, using so many different, capturing what there is for you to do and handle in so many different places, imagine what life would be like if you captured everything there was for you to do and handle maybe in 2 or 3 places only as a habit. I mean, that's what the guy was telling me. I'm like, well, I never thought about it that way. He goes, I know, that's why you're here, right? Because you're right, you don't learn this stuff in school. So if you looked at this, if you looked at this list as your current management system, what is the nature of it? How would you describe it? How would you characterize it? What words come to mind? Who's got chaotic? Okay, got it. Anything else? I mean, there's no right answer. It's just you're living the experience. I mean,
My organization patterns, my attempt to organize.
Yeah, attempting to organize, scattered, somebody said. Stressful, for sure. Like when there's too many things in too many different places. I mean, like I said, can you imagine the pilot or the surgeon going, where the hell are the Metzenbaum scissors? I know I placed them around here somewhere. Right? Yeah. Anybody got redundant? Like triple redundant? Like, yeah, quadruple redundant. So, yeah. And what is the impact of using a stressful, scattered, chaotic, redundant organization system on your experience? It's like, it's why you're here, right? I mean, yeah, okay. So, right, okay, now, like I said, come on. If you've gotten this high up on the wall, with that, imagine what you could accomplish if you had this makeover. So let's get into that. So a couple things. So from now on, wherever you are, when something comes to mind that you think you want to remember, capture, I mean, you can do it now if you want. Again, this whole conversation is recorded. And there may be some things that come to mind that you want to capture. You capture them in one or two places only, okay? So I'm very low tech. I have an 8x5 pad. So at my desk, I'm sitting with my computer. I have my pad, I'm working. And if there's something that comes to mind that I can't easily translate into my calendar or on one of my project lists, I'll just write it down, because the moment you write it down, it's off your what? It's off your mind. So having peace of mind is having nothing on your mind except for who or what is in front of you. And for some of us, it's been so long since we've had real peace of mind, it's hard for you to relate to what I'm talking about. Like, I never have any peace of mind. You say, you know how like when you go to finally get a massage and you start to relax, then you realize how stressed out you were only when you begin to relax? Do you know what I'm talking about? So the whole idea of peace of mind sounds like ridiculous to people because they think it's impossible. No, it's possible at every moment. But how you get there is you keep, and it could also be your device. So if you want to use your phone, fine, you can capture it there. Now, you don't leave it there ad nauseum, because then it becomes more what you're already doing. So it's a capture tool. Scheduling practices, right? So if you're going to do it, schedule it. I'm going to show you in my Outlook how I create my schedule. So it gives me a visual display of actually what my life actually and really looks like. I'm not living in this conversation called, oh my God, I've got a million things to do. Like, that's a thought that you'll have. A thought that you'll have literally is, I have a million things to do. That's a thought that has no basis in reality. And I know that for a fact because when I teach the whole course, we give you something called the Everything Inventory. And we ask you to make a list of everything there is for you to do or handle in your life. Your whole life. You look like you're going to... What?
I just like, it's impossible.
Huh?
It's impossible.
Oh, no, it's not. You think it's impossible because you've never done it. So you live in an illusion, a fog of, I can never get out of the fog. Because you literally live like you've got a million things to do. But you actually don't. If you actually do the everything inventory, you'll get about 4 or 5 pages, and then it's like, oh, I can't think of anything else. That's your mountain. Everything from dusting the ceiling fan to the oil change to the RCM project at work and everything that touches. You literally get, that's your world. That is a breakthrough. And when I did that, the fog started to clear. I went, oh my God, I thought I had a million things to do. That's how I was living. I was pretty much more or less overwhelmed. And then the instructor said, okay, we're going to take that list and we're going to translate those things that belong in your calendar, go in your calendar, and the other things are going to be on something you're not doing now or you're never doing now. Doesn't mean you're never doing them, you're just never doing them now, but they're off your mind. And what I loved about it was there was a place for everything that I felt like I could get my arms around. You know, once you get this, you can get your arms around the totality of your life so that you're no longer overwhelmed by a conversation in your head that has no basis in reality. You do not have a million things to do. A million things is a lot of things. You'll get about 4 or 5, 6 pages, maybe 7. Maybe there's 30 or 40 or 50 on each page. So what is it, 500 things. You can deal with 500 things. You really can. How many of you could see you could do that? Not at once, but in time. Yes, please.
I just want to challenge the thought process a little bit
Oh,
here.
please, yeah.
If you don't
Yeah,
mind.
challenge me on this because that's how I know you're thinking. Yes.
So the idea of having your everything that I'm not getting to now box still weighing on you, right? Knowing that this is still waiting for you Saturday morning.
Yeah, if you, so we're in, think of this conversation as like surgery, so I just cut you open. So we gotta make sure we sew you back up again. So normally how you would think about, that's you're already thinking about, I've got to do it. There's stuff there's stuff that you're never going to do even though it's on your list. So what? You declare, I'm never doing this now. And then you choose. But you choose. It's a different experience than I have to, and there's something wrong with me if I don't, or I'm missing something. Because you're not going to do it all anyway. So does that get you in the right direction?
Yes, I just personally know that having a list of things that I haven't done is just as detrimental as things I have to do.
Yeah.
So I guess just removing that sense of urgency is.
Well, it's thinking that you're putting them on the list because you're going to do them. You're not putting them on the list because you're going to do them. You're putting them on the list so they're complete for now. So we want to take care of, what am I talking about? Complete. Who has a question about that? So does anybody have a question about what I mean by complete? So somebody tell me what I mean by complete.
You've addressed it in this moment as best you could.
Yeah, when you're complete, does it leave you, when you're complete, how does that leave you feeling?
Satisfied.
Satisfied, whole. So like the spokes of a bicycle wheel, right? That represents, so a bicycle wheel has spokes, right? And if some of the spokes are bent or broken, the wheel eventually will go out of alignment. It's incomplete. It's broken. So being complete is like being whole, moment to moment, even with the things that are yet undone. And you'll bump into them, let's say on Saturday, and then you can choose, I'm going to do this thing or I'm not going to do this thing. But you're driving the car. Yeah. And that's why it's really great that you brought it up, because, see, without that first, without clarity about that you're never going to get it all done, when you talk to most people and you give them these tools, if it goes right back into the spinner called, I've got it, it means I've got to get to everything, you're just back in the soup again. It's really a distinction that you want to keep drawing. It's really great. And we'll spend some more time on what I'm talking about. And then managing people in projects. So let's see what I've got here. So capture tool. So some of these, I apologize, some of these slides are a little bit dated, although I think it works for now. So you want to pick, well, what is your capture tool or capture tools going to be? Like one or two? And I'm talking about, you're out to dinner or you're at the bash tonight. You have a little pad because maybe you think of something. Oh, she just gave me her card. I want to talk to her about such and such. So you take a moment, you write it down, you put it away. Or it could be you go right to your calendar, call Khalid on Saturday. And that's living complete moment to moment. Like a lot of times I'm out to dinner with my wife, and and if I'm not doing that, she's talking to me, I'm thinking about that thing I'm trying to remember, I'm not with her anyway. And then I'll probably forget the thing anyway. And if you look, because I've done this, if you look at the people that are most successful as executives, managers, they're always capturing things. There's nothing they want to miss. Now, there may be some things that are really trivial that I don't care and I don't care. And if I don't care, I don't care. I'll just let it go. But I know when something is, it's important to you for one reason or another, okay? Okay, so everybody got which capture tool you're going to use? How many of you are going to be like a paper person? Okay, good. How many of you are digital? And how many of you are hybrid? Good. Beautiful. I don't care if you have to strap a wastebasket to the front of you. Just get things off your mind, right? Okay. So you have one or two capture tools. It's ready to hand at all times. Enter ideas in your capture tool as they come to mind. Each day, move everything from your capture tool into your calendar or your agenda or projects folder. I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you that in a little bit. This is a discipline to develop. This is really a new habit of taking, for those of you that really want extra credit, just get some notebook paper, call it everything inventory, or you can do it right on your computer. You can create and just start just making a list of everything in your life. Clean this, do that, college fund, blah, 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 blah. Everything. And the more you empty it, your life gets brighter and brighter and brighter. Not because you're going to do it all, but because it's going to live in a way that's complete for now. And since all there is now, it's complete. And you'll either do the thing or you won't. Like how many of you have on your list, diet? And you should. And then you never do. And not only do you not diet, it's upsetting that you're not, choose. Put that on your never doing now list. Really, seriously. And so you don't let it go completely. It's there, you can revisit it, then you can see. Hi. Okay. In the 21st century, the things you are not doing are always exponentially greater than things that you are doing. So there's always going to be way more than you're not doing. The question is, of those things that you're not doing, if they're relevant to you, or if they're core to one of your concerns in life, for love, joy, freedom, play, I don't mean worry, I mean concern for happiness, well-being, at work, reputation or viability, corporate concerns. If something comes up that's connected to one of those concerns, then you probably want to capture it, right? Your calendar is your central piece of infrastructure. It's where you commit or to do or handle something at a particular time, and it's grounded in reality. Okay? So I'm just thinking, let me just see here. Okay. Okay, so any question about the capture tool or the calendar at this point? You good with that? Okay? All right. Okay. I know we covered this a little bit before, someday and now. People talk about what they're going to do someday, but someday never comes. It's not possible to do something someday. It's just not possible. Now, anybody, the voice in your head going, yeah, well, sure it's possible. I want to see it. Because I never have experienced someday. I've only experienced now. Doing takes time. And the kind of time doing takes is called now. Anything that you're ever going to do is going to be in some kind of what? It's going to be in some kind of now. So what you want to do is schedule your nows. Schedule your nows. You schedule a now in which to do the thing. You could schedule a now to exercise. You could schedule a now to go to the movies. You could schedule a now to clean the garage. You're scheduling a now. Now, why are you scheduling this now? Well, that's the question. Why clean the garage? Somebody tell you, who cares? What difference does it make? Why schedule a now to clean the garage? I'm asking.
So you can find things.
So you can find things. And if you can find things, but so what? What does that leave you with when you can find things?
More time.
More time. And could you say more time? Could you also say that's like freedom? And when you can find things, could you also say that's like peace of mind? See, you're never doing anything just to do it. Nobody ever cleans the garage just to clean the garage. Who cares? Nobody cares. And half the time, we don't even know why we're doing. We think we're doing because we should or because we have to. No, nobody cares. I mean, you may, but doing something because you should or you have to, there's no joy in that. It's an obligation. It's a burden.
My wife cares.
I'll tell the jokes around here. But now watch. Now watch this. If you drill down far enough, you'll always get to some concern that gets fulfilled. So the technology it's called the concerns technology in mission control. This is really important if you get this, that you're never doing anything just to do it. You don't work just to work. You go to work to make a living. You make a living so that you have money. You have money so that you can feel what? Peace of mind, security, right? Because there are some people that don't go to work. They don't have peace of mind and security as a concern. They just don't. They're those people. We're these people. And why would your wife care about you cleaning the garage? What does she get out of it?
Torture.
No.
Yeah, probably.
What's that?
It helps her find things.
Helps her find things. So and now this, by the way, this might be one of the things that goes on your capture tool and into your calendar to schedule a now for. I'm using this new language intentionally. Because if you speak the same old language, you'll have the same old life. If you listen the way you've always been listening, you'll have the same result. So I'm speaking a language which is specifically designed to empower you. Which is, some of you have workspaces and houses and garages and cars that you've been telling yourself need to be clean and organized. And then you've never scheduled an occasion to do that. So it's robbing you of power and freedom and peace of mind. When your life doesn't have integrity that way. See, there's a certain integrity to having your car clean, isn't it? See, I stay at hotels all the time. I can't leave the room, even though it's a hotel, without pretty much making my bed. Now, do I have to? No. Why do I do that? Because for me, it's just how it is for me, knowing that my bed is made or nearly made when I'm standing up in front of the room gives me a sense of power, freedom, and peace of mind. Which is what I think you're interested in. What do you think? So how many of you have got your garage to clean? Now, seriously, you could do it joyfully. If you say, I feel great today because I took action to clean my garage, giving me a sense of peace and power. I get to have a say in my world. You could actually live that way. I feel great because I got my taxes done. But see, most people, you ask people at work, I ask you, well, what do you do there and why do you do it? And it would take a little bit to get down to what's the concern that gets fulfilled. Like we're just out there doing stuff. So your concerns are, what's a concern? Power, having power and not force. Power is you have a say and you translate your word into reality. So I said a couple years ago before I moved from San Diego to the Central Coast, I'm going to be in a band, and I had nothing. I didn't even have the drums. And I was just like, I'm walking in my neighborhood, and I hear a guy who I think is either yelling at the football game or singing, and I knock on the door, and his wife comes out, can I help you? I go, does your husband sing? And he comes out, and now he's the lead singer in my band, doing Queen songs.
Nice.
I'm giving you an example of when you live from, you cast your line, and you throw your word out there. It gives you a space, a possibility that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Had I not said that, I never would have went to his house. there was no space for it. It wasn't even possible. So the same thing with stuff there is for you to do. So concerns are like freedom, peace of mind, power, viability, vitality. I'm 67. I have a concern for being well, like having extraordinary vitality, especially when we start to do the full day retreats, to be bringing this kind of energy over days. I mean, I get way more out of it, but it takes a certain stamina, doesn't it? But see, if I wasn't doing this work, I might not care about it, right? So my life is connected that way. So you want to start to create occasions. How do I structure that language, Jerry? What did you say? Oh, I feel great because the garage is like the pristine chapel. And you know when it's so clean at the end of the day and you're exhausted, you don't want to leave it because you're so thrilled with yourself? Who's had that experience? It's like, honey, I think I'll sleep in the garage tonight. And you've had that experience. So what I'm actually describing to you is not something that's not already in your experience. It's just, what does it take for my whole life to start to occur like that, to have that kind of integrity? Also the same thing in your relationships. So you've got people in your life that you're incomplete with, that you think, oh, I really need to call them. Or I'm incomplete with them. I said that thing, it wasn't great. It requires a certain humility and courage. It's just what kind of life. There's a quality of life that's possible when you're managing the quality of your relationships, like being complete like that. Okay, so here's what I would start with also is look at your routines in life. So what do you do in the morning? I get ready, I walk the dog, I prepare breakfast. You could actually have some time in your calendar for that. Your projects at work, so you've got communications, you've got project work, you're going to have meetings, you're going to have emergencies. Okay? And I realize the listening that I'm talking into right now is you've got a million meetings. This all may sound just impossible. I don't know. But just trust me, you can get there. We're just taking the first couple of hacks at the block here. At home, whatever your routines are at home, time with your family, time to argue with your spouse, time to clean it up, and then time to drink or whatever. You want to see what my Outlook calendar looks like? How many of you use Outlook? All right, cool. And if you don't, you can sort of see here. Oh, that's weird. I got a glitchy. Why isn't? Oh, here we go. Okay. So, just gonna move this over here. Let's see. All right. Okay. So. This is a you're looking at a shortcut that I created. So normally in Outlook, what you're looking at, the view is typically. Let's see, hang on. This is really getting hairy to do here. Sorry, just hang on. Okay. Oh, okay. So I started in 2007 with this mission control. I had 3 jobs. And then since 2008, this is every single one of these, the HFMAs. Oh my God. I wonder if you guys are in there. Atlanta, Omaha, Minnesota. I was a road warrior, you guys. Now, see, I don't need to look at this. Be curious to see what's in there. Get paid now seminar, flat fee. There's my ticket. See, I don't need to be looking at any of this now, do I? But if I ever wanted to go back and find a contact there or just have, everything lives in one place. So I had to create a shortcut folder called My World. What's in My World? And we'll go back to, let's see, inbox. So I have whatever I have in here. It's not a whole lot of email, but it's manageable. And then let's say if I wanted to, I don't know, I can just drag and drop stuff into my not doing email folder, right? And there's my calendar. So I set up my calendar. It's color-coded. Let's see, let's look at this week. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me show you a different week. Hang on. It looks like I'm not doing much, huh? Well, that's pretty awesome, right?
We were marveling at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Swimming and coffee. Project work. Although it's changing because I'm getting booked to do more of these other things. I'm in a seminar that I do. There's project work. There's a regular call that I have every Monday morning. There's a Sunday occasion I've set up my week to be fully and wildly productive, review my pipeline and agendas. So you can create a calendar that points you not only to what there is to do, but why the hell you're doing it. And why would I care about setting up my week? It's just more stuff to do. Because I want to live a life full of joy and freedom and peace of mind. But I've got to be able to deal with the reality of life, which is there's stuff to do. See, my cat doesn't have this problem. My cat, it's poop, sleep, purr, scratch. Pretty much. Human beings have this because we have language. We live in language. And language will allow you to experience, I have set up my week to be fully and wildly productive because I've reviewed my pipeline and my agendas. I've looked at everything that's there, and then you translate that into your calendar. Does this make sense, you guys? How many of you have a Outlook that's color-coded? Oh, you do already. Okay, so what can you see from here, if anything, that you would take away? Would you add in specific time for your communications? So you tell people like maybe, between, I don't know, this time and this time is when I'm available if you're going to call, as an example. I mean, I don't know that any of you need to be available 24/7 and 365, do you? So you got to draw that line, right? Okay. What about scheduling time for your exercising? Have you done that yet? You have. Good. Good. So who hasn't and now will? You can see will. Yeah. If you put it into your calendar, you're a hell of a lot more likely to do it than if it's... A lot of people have the habit is, I'll see whatever time is left over. But then what happens is whatever seems most urgent is what pulls you. So it's life pulling you rather than the other way around. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. See, it's not that this stuff is that hard. It's mostly so not doing now email. I also have, let's see, and these are the gigs that are scheduled right now. So for every one of these, so like here's this one, right? And then I could have just everything that belongs with that. So If you have a project that you're working on, like a contact relationship management, who's got one project that they're working on? Somebody give me an example of a project you're working on at work. Or an initiative, yeah.
Complying with House Bill 3320.
Oh, you said, which one?
House Bill 3320.
Okay, House Bill 3320. I don't know what that is. What's the bottom line on that?
It's financial assistance related.
Okay, got it. Okay, so here's what I would do if you haven't already done this. I would create a task folder with that title on it. And then anything that has to do with that would go in that folder. Okay, so is that something you're already doing?
Yes.
Including emails, attachments, right? Are we good with
I
that?
don't have the task associated with it though, however.
Yeah, I'm curious, these look like just tasks, not the emails related to that, so do you have 2 folders, or is it?
No. So like in this one, so where's the emails? Let's see. I think this might be an email, so hang on. Oh. So like here's the email when I first talked to Wendy. And so I'm not talking to Wendy every day, but I know when I got to go, when we're back in touch, did I get the gig? Did I not get the gig? You know, it's kind of like that. Again, it's not perfect. And you do you. You make it how it works for you. But this way, you know, I mean, she's giving me information all along. I'm talking to also, you know, DeMars, you know, I got stuff in there, and what am I doing, and all that stuff. So it just makes life just a lot easier. And in my busier years, I would have gigs all the way through. So I'm just playing a lot more music now, which is kind of cool. Okay? Yeah, so that's an example of that. Let me just see. Hang on. Contacts, no, I don't want that. Calendar, I don't want that. So yeah, it's just kind of like that. And then a task folder is basically, or you know, a calendar item, right? And then that'll live in the calendar there. And then if you wanted to create, a new folder for a project, you got to go to folders, and then you just go to, let's see, I think it's okay. Yeah, so new folder. And then you put the name, and what I would do is I would put, I would use task items, because you can drag and drop this stuff from your calendar back and forth. You put the name of it in there, SSB 3330, and then you create the name of it. So let's do that right now. You want to see that? So what was the name of it? HB 330, 3330? 3320. Okay. So there it is right there, but I don't want it there. Where I want it is I want it because it's something I'm working on now. And then what I want to do is I want to add a new shortcut. And then I'm just going to go down to tasks. And then, is that it right there? And then there it is. And there's going to be nothing in it. And you can put in it whatever you want. So let's say I'm in my email, and there's something from Sharon that belongs to that. I don't want to deal with it now because I know I already have time in my calendar to work on that project. I know I'm going to do it Thursday at 3 o'clock. I can just grab it right there. See, that gives me, and I can, there's different ways you can save it. But I'm just going to save it there, right? So, and then I could right click and move it. It'll take it out of the inbox automatically. But then it doesn't live in my inbox as incomplete. The practice of operating that way gives me a sense of moving things forward reliably. So if you build your navigation pane to what actually you're doing in your life and what's important, you'll find a way to work with it so that it empowers you. Yeah.
So you moved it to the HB, right?
Yeah.
Does it still live in your other place too, or is it now moved over and it's not anywhere else but the place you moved?
Yeah, I deleted it as an email in my inbox.
Okay.
Okay.
Delete it, okay.
And you know, it's always in deleted email as well. but I don't want it in my inbox. I mean, it's like having a can of garbage in your living room and just thinking, well, it's been there for a while, I guess it's okay, right? It's not, it doesn't, so yeah, it's where I need it to be. So on Thursday or whenever, when I'm meeting, there's Sharon, that's right there. It's a particular thing, but anyway. That make sense, you guys? Perfect. Okay. Anything else about this Outlook, calendar? I recently, fairly recently, I think, changed my view. I had, well, it's probably more than that, but I was, let's see. Anyway, not to worry. So, okay, all right. And you can also pull this down. So you can get more views, kind of like that, kind of like that. Leads in my pipeline. So for marketing, a lot of them are past due, whatever, I don't care. Okay. It's not perfect, right? It's not supposed to be perfect. Because in the end, it's about power, freedom, and peace of mind. Nobody cares how much you got done or how much you didn't get done. I mean, how many of you know you get a lot done, but you don't have the experience of accomplishment? That's crazy. And the reason why you don't have the experience of accomplishment is because the context from which you're working. The context from which you're working is, if I do enough, then I'll be happy, fulfilled, or satisfied. Except life doesn't work that way. The way life works is, I be happy, fulfilled, and satisfied, and then I do. It's loading the deck. Much more fun to work that way. You say, well, how do you be happy and satisfied? Well, that's a whole other conversation. You got to create it. How do you create anything? You create it. You can only create from what? From nothing. Well, how do you get to nothing? That's a whole other conversation. How you get to nothing is to have exactly everything exactly as it is. Choose it. Okay, you guys. I don't mean to torture you. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So now I got to figure this out again. This is a screenshot of a calendar. So these are just different views. This actually was not that long ago. See, my flights are in there. So I love having that in there. And then I can see I have that view. I can see what's coming up. I have my number 10 session of my landmark masterclass tonight. I'm going to be tuning in from my computer. It's my session there. Stuff. Okay? All right. So remember, if it's not scheduled, you have no conscious commitment to making it happen, and chances are that it won't happen on time or without pushing it off to other things like family, personal time, or whatever. So for some of you, it's going to be that new habit, cross my arms the other way, of the habit of, some of you know, like you say, I know I'm going to wash the car on Saturday. Why do I have to put it in my calendar? I really would recommend that you do it anyway, just so you build that muscle. So you can see the reality of your available time, because you only have 164 hours in the week. So it's the reality of your actual available time. Okay? So for the people that are your direct reports, I'm saying that right, you would see how I did this. This was a year I was 2009. Whoa, I wonder. Okay, so you would create an occasion for this thing. I'm recognized for my leadership because I added 5 new projects to my pipeline. And then the link goes in there. Burn an email. Agenda items. Like that. So that's one of the agenda items. Okay? Okay. What I was going to say was, it's not up here, is for the people that report to you, have them create a task folder with your name on it. So do you have direct reports? How many do you have? Four. So for each one of those 4 people, you say, you have a meeting. You say, here, and you give them the context for it. Say, we want to try something. The reason that I want to work with you on this is because we're all overwhelmed. We want to cut down on the unnecessary interruptions and distractions. And I know you love me and I love you. And I used to keep my door open all the time. And if it's really urgent, if it's a 911, you come get me. But for the most part now, the way I like to work, Khalid says, is just create a task folder with my name on it. So anything that's really urgent or relevant, put it in that folder. And I would imagine, do you have regular times that you meet with them? And then when we meet, you just go through your list. And then we'll take actions on those items. It's not that hard, right? And the same thing with the people that you report up to. Don't bother them with, I see a lot of this, like you'll send an email to somebody just so you don't forget it, and it's in their inbox, but then that's you're giving them, right? And then people are doing that with you. I promise you, I can tell you from experience, because I've worked with companies, if you do what I'm telling you, it will reduce your email traffic by 30 to 40%. Like you tell people, you don't need to say thank you and you're welcome. You just don't need to do that. Because it's a communication channel where nobody gave us the rules. So it's just we talk on email like we talk when we're talking. But you want to have this conversation with them so they get what's up. You want to, you're training them in the new protocols with email. Speaking of which, so turn off your sound and visual indicators. Now, some of you are going to have a conversation because people are just used to you responding. That's no way to work. Like I said earlier, it's like being a boxer in a boxing match where you're just getting punched every 2 seconds. I mean, how does anybody do any quality thinking when you're distracted every 2 minutes? So, and then, so here's the conversation. What's your first name again?
Chris.
Chris. So I say, Chris, you know how I used to respond, pretty much on a regular basis? I'm only going to respond to emails between 10 and 11 and then 3 to 4. Now, if it's really urgent, just call me. Like if it's really urgent. But otherwise, just know that. Are you okay with that?
That works.
Okay, cool. Okay, and by the way, I don't know if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with your email traffic. Can I show you what I'm doing and can I recommend that to you? I mean, this is not rocket science. This is just like basic stuff. Okay? So how many of you you're going to start having conversations when you go back? Yeah, this is not, right? And again, you just draw that line. If it's really urgent, I'm here. Okay. As you go through your email, move anything that you can't respond to instantly into your not doing now email folder. And then in your calendar, make sure you have an occasion. I feel great because I'm on top of my communications. Put it in a color, put it on the weekend or on Friday, whenever you want. So that's your peace of mind where it's not on your mind because you're going to look at that on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Right? And if you don't, there's an impact because stuff will get dropped out. So it's like developing that muscle. And the more you do it, the stronger you get. See, I don't even have to think about a capture tool anymore because I've been doing it for since 2007, 17 years, whatever that is. What I'm teaching you, I don't have to use. It uses me. Like some of you are used by exercise. You don't have to get to it. It takes you out for a walk. Right? You do something enough, it will use you. And these are good things to be used by, right? Good habits. Okay. Yeah, you can schedule 3 or 4 times during the week to do your this is all just, you take this and you create what's going to work for you. Okay? All right. Okay, so we're getting close to, making sure that we're leaving you whole and complete. This is a lot of information. So, any questions about this? How many of you like the 911 411? It's pretty cool, right? Like you don't even have to explain it, Lucy. You know, 911, probably a payroll issue or somebody's having a heart attack, right? 411 is anything less than that. It's informational, right? Okay. Okay. So let's, you know, it's 2:15. The problem, everybody just stand up and stretch for a second. And God, being talked to us is a terrible death. You guys have been up since early this morning. You've eaten 7 times already, which is more food than any human being should have already consumed. But that's fine. All right. So I want to make sure that you're left in a place where you're feeling empowered by what you're learning. And what I'm curious to know is if you can already see that habit where you just want to take everything I said and hurry up and get it done. Yeah, that's more of the same. To hurry up and get this done is more of the same. What you want to do is you want to bring a sense of play to it. Bring a sense of joy to it. Bring a sense of possibility to it. You can sit whenever you want. Like, here's the thing. You know, we've done less than an hour and a half on what normally takes 2 days to communicate and get you out with your laptops and the yeah buts and the this and the that. And we can certainly do that where you work if you want. There's also Mission Control has an online course you can do. But my sense is, having worked with people over 17 years on this, is because it's not rocket science. It's mostly just kind of retraining. You pull yourself towards it, coming from I'm not going to get to all of it. The reason I'm doing anything of this stuff is because I love my life and I want to experience it that way. Power, freedom, peace of mind, joy, well-being, energy, vitality, contribution, vigor. Those are the reasons why we, want to live, right? I want life to taste good. That's the way I like to say it now, right? So what questions, what do you want to ask me about, any of this stuff? Anything you want to share, any challenges? What do you see as possible for now? Well, let's start with this. Can any of you experiencing right now a new possibility for working? So you can experience that. Good. That's complete. Because if you're not even in that possibility, it's just more banging your head against the wall. Okay. And can you describe what that's like? You share that? Those of you that, what it feels like right now? So we can expand. Because when you share, it expands the space for stuff to happen.
I find relief in knowing that I've got a plan to tackle things differently, so it gives me that sense of peace of mind, knowing I have a different plan moving forward.
Great. So you're actually experiencing peace of mind in the present. It's not a someday phenomenon.
Or next Tuesday.
Or next Tuesday. It's peace of mind here, now. Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. Anybody else feeling that? You're the only one? I'm a little worried. Really, I am. Is she really the only one that's experiencing peace of mind?
Monday, when you get to work, you can kind of get some of this stuff done. How about go that route? Yeah?
Well, so let's talk about that. So are you experiencing peace of mind right now?
Not necessarily.
No, you're not. So let's see what you are experiencing. So there's hope. so there's hope that if I get to do, right, then I'll be, right? Okay, that's good. That's totally legitimate and valid. It's kind of like, well, let me play with this a little bit and tease it out and see what opens up. That's great. Now, I invite you to take on the possibility that you could actually stand in having peace of mind in the present. You could stand for that. Yeah? I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's only a possibility, right? So maybe a little thinking, confusion. Let's see. It's kind of where you're at.
From things that you
Yep.
showed us on the
Yep.
outlook and everything, I want to go back, and I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds really stupid, I was like, oh, I never thought of doing it that way.
Right.
That would be so, because I have 70 times more emails in my inbox than you probably had before you got this program.
Well,
And they're like years old, where I'm like, oh yeah, hold on a second, I got an email on that, let me shoot that to you. That's
so you have emails in your inbox that are years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you're not the
My
only.
IT department loves me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a storage mechanism.
Yeah.
Subfolders.
Yeah. No, I got it, and I appreciate what you said. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So there's some hope that when you get to work on Monday, you can start to play with this, and maybe something will open up for you. My recommendation is keep standing there looking for it. Right? Great. And a couple more.
What is your recommendation? So I use a system like this.
Yeah.
I block schedule and I book things out to do
Yeah.
things. It's people respecting that
Yes.
and me feeling okay and empowered to say it needs to wait or I need you to schedule time with me.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So what is your recommendation, how you have that conversation when there's other people that are as respectful to that?
Yeah. That, like I said before, I recommend that you have conversations with the people that you're directly working with about what you're learning here or your way of scheduling and what works for you and support them. That has integrity to it. See, because if you don't have those conversations, you got practices that you work with, but they're going to bump into yours and why you're doing this, and it's just being like transparent. So my recommendation is, yes, schedule a time to talk to your team about how can we cause breakthroughs with our productivity so that you get more done with a lot less stress. And you go, are you interested in that? And they'll be like, yes. I mean, right, like that. And then to the degree that you can, you'll have a copy of the slide. You can say, well, cross your arms. You can do the habits practice. And then you can demonstrate, we're all habituated to just respond and react to everything like knee-jerk. And it just doesn't work, like that. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Good. Any more? Or is this like no more questions so we can get the hell out of here? All right, you guys. So did you get some value from this conversation? Good. Thank you. Thank you for creating that. Thank you for bringing it towards you. It's not magic. There's just stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work. And the telltale sign that this is working is you're having more fun. You feel a sense of freedom. You're kind of maybe blocking and, doing things that you used to love. I didn't ask you before. I said, how many of you have something that you love and can't wait to get to? Where are the musicians in here? What's your instrument? Piano, yay.
Actually, I'm learning guitar.
You're learning guitar. Yeah. Any singers, musicians, right? Cooks, yay. Artists. So during the pandemic, when there was no healthcare traveling, that was my, I was out of work, so I was painting, and I worked as a census taker with a mask on. So what I'm saying, I guess, is at some point today or, over time, think about what your loves are, your joys, your loves, and get that into your schedule. And then I want you to tell me that you're actively pursuing those things. Nothing would make me happier. So that's it. Okay. The last thing I wanted to say was if you, I don't know, maybe some of you are interested in bringing me in to do the mission control program or to talk about it. It's really a fun course. It's a day and a half. People are literally there with their laptops. We're having the conversation. You have your coffee. We go to lunch. It's just a blast. We go out at night. Anybody interested maybe in that? Just give me your business card and then we can talk about that. Otherwise, get out of here and go relax. Thank you, guys.